Why do human rights matter in the context of urban natural assets? The idea that human rights are separate and independent from nature, and that the two themes must be treated in silos, is false. Human rights are at the center of everything, including nature. The very fact of our existence bestows on us these rights. They are innate to us as humans. Human rights have existed for as long as our societies have. The rich oral history of Africa lets us know that many foundational principles of human rights were embedded in our societies as Africans. The current biodiversity loss and climate crisis that the world faces is rapidly exacerbating poverty and reversing the development gains of the 20th century. Biodiversity degradation and a reduced climate resilience hampers the full enjoyment of all human rights. In working towards the restoration of our urban natural assets, the answer cannot lie in science alone. We must look for contextual, all-encompassing answers. Human rights are central to this. Respecting and protecting human rights has proven to be an equitable and cost-saving conservation and restoration approach that should be mainstreamed into all of our efforts to preserve biodiversity and to build climate resilience. In restoring urban natural assets, a human rights approach centers fairness, justice, and equality. It begins with recognizing that for centuries, indigenous and local people have managed nature more sustainably than current modern attempts. Unfortunately, these are the same group of people who bear the most severe consequences of climate change, mainly due to their economic status. As we pursue nature-based solutions in conjunction with other measures to address the current climate crisis, a human rights approach pays special attention to the effect these solutions and measures have on vulnerable and marginalized people and communities. How does focusing on the rights of the vulnerable and marginalized help in the preservation and restoration of our urban natural assets? The last few decades have shown us that efforts to safeguard biodiversity, which do not simultaneously safeguard the rights of vulnerable populations, including women, children, indigenous people, local communities, on the one hand, can perpetuate a range of human rights violations. On the other hand, they also do not always achieve their desired biodiversity outcomes. This calls for rethinking our current approaches. Mainstreaming human rights and emphasizing the protection of vulnerable groups must be central to all conservation, preservation, and sustainability measures, as well as a shared commitment to safeguarding biodiversity for current and for future generations.